On behalf of the Committee on the Exercise of the Inalienable Rights of the Palestinian People, I would like to thank you for your active participation during these past 2 days. During this conference, we have had the privilege of hearing from Palestinian and Israeli experts and representatives of international organizations and civil society. I would like to thank all of them for having traveled to Rabat to share their experiences and expertise with us. I would also like to thank member states and their representatives in Rabat, civil society, and the media, which contributed to make this conference a success. This conference has once again highlighted the need for the international community to stand together and support the consensus on the question of Jerusalem. This conference was timely, considering recent worrying developments. We heard about the negative impact of political developments on the rights of Palestinians and about the importance for member states of the United Nations to uphold their obligations under international law on the question of Jerusalem. Most importantly, this was a forward-looking event as we discussed support strategies for the people of East Jerusalem and the role of international organizations working for the same cause. On behalf of the committee, I would like to express our deepest gratitude for the hospitality of our host, His Majesty King Mohammed VI, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Morocco. We would like to hereby express our sincere appreciation for His Majesty's role in initiating and chairing the Al-Quds Committee, which has done extraordinary work in taking care of the residents of East Jerusalem. I would also like to thank our colleagues in the Organization for Islamic Cooperation for your support and collaboration in organizing this conference. Finally, I would like to thank our colleagues from the Division of Palestinian Rights for all the hard and very efficient, I would say, work that went in organizing this event. Last but not least, we also extend our great appreciation to the interpreters for their outstanding and very professional work, without which we cannot make it. They indeed guarantee our communication. I'm pleased now to invite the representative of the host country, Morocco, Mr. Fouad Akrif, head of the Directorate for the Middle East, Gulf, and Arab and Islamic Organizations, to deliver the closing remarks. Please.
Thank you. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. حضرات السيدات والسادة، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يسعدني في ختام أشغال مؤتمر الرباط الدولي حول القدس أن أشيد باسم السيد وزير الشؤون الخارجية والتعاون الدولي بجهود أعضاء وطاقم اللجنة الأممية على ما بذلوه من جهد مقدر لإنجاح الدورة الخامسة للمؤتمر الدولي حول القدس الذي التأم في ظرفية دقيقة تمر منها القضية الفلسطينية والشعب الفلسطيني الشقيق. وبالفعل فقد شكلت الرسالة الملكية السامية التي وجهها صاحب الجلالة الملك محمد السادس نصره الله إلى المؤتمر حدثاً بارزاً زاد من إشعاع المؤتمر وإضافة نوعية لأشغاله بما احتوته من أفكار وتصورات تنطلق من موقف المغرب المبدئي والثابت الداعم للحقوق العادلة والمشروعة للشعب الفلسطيني في نيل حريته وانعتاقه. كما شكلت مختلف المداخلات فرصة للتعبير عن تشبت جميع القوى المحبة للسلام في العالم بخيار السلام الذي لن يتأتى إلا عبر إيجاد تسوية عادلة للقضية الفلسطينية وفق مبدأ حل الدولتين، وبما يفضي إلى إقامة دولة فلسطينية مستقلة وعاصمتها القدس الشرقية طبقاً لقرارات الشرعية الدولية ومبادرة السلام العربية. نلاحظ بكل ارتياح أن هناك وعي دولي بمركزية قضية القدس في الصراع في الشرق الأوسط، وضرورة الحفاظ على حل الدولتين باعتباره الحل الوحيد الذي توافق عليه المجتمع الدولي. ولعل ما ساهم في إنجاح أعمال هذا المؤتمر وميز مداولاته هو المكانة المرموقة للخبراء المشاركين من جنسيات مختلفة، ومساهماتهم في إغناء أشخاله بمداخلات قيمة لامست العديد من جوانب القضية الفلسطينية. كما أن الخلاصات المهمة التي صدرت عن هذه الدورة، والتي تعد إضافة نوعية لعمل اللجنة الأممية، وخاصة في ظل التحديات التي تواجهها قضية القدس، ستشكل ولا شك نبراسا لكل الجهود الدولية والإقليمية المخلصة التي تروم إبراز الحقوق الفلسطينية والدفاع عن التطلعات المشروعة للشعب الفلسطيني العزيز. واجبنا ومسؤولياتنا كمجتمع دولي تحتم علينا جميعا العمل دون كلل من أجل الحفاظ على الأمل لينال الشعب الفلسطيني حريته واستقلاله، ويقيم دولته المستقلة بعاصمتها القدس الشرقية في أفق تحقيق السلام العادل والدائم وتعزيز الأمن والاستقرار لفائدة كل شعوب المنطقة. شكرا لكم جميعا، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you, Excellency, for these remarks. I would like now to give the floor to the representative of the State of Palestine, my dear friend, His Excellency Ambassador Riyad Mansour, to deliver his closing remarks. Please, Excellency, you have.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And also I want to thank my brother Fuad for the statement that he has delivered on behalf of the government of Morocco. Let me begin by expressing on behalf of the Palestinian people and their leadership our gratitude to the organizers of this conference, the Committee on the Exercise of the Inalienable Rights of the Palestinian People, the OIC, and also for the host country, the host country represented by His Majesty, the King, the government, and the people of Morocco. We are grateful for the division on Palestinian rights. Those heroes who would make things happen, they deal with all of the details. You don't know how much it requires to put a conference like this together. They are the ones who would work day and night in order to make this happen, and we are grateful to them, all of them, under the leadership of Elio, their chief. We are grateful to all the speakers who came and participated with us in expressing their thoughts and ideas, whether they came from Palestine, whether they came from Israel, or from all corners of the globe. We are grateful for them, although we might sometimes not see eye to eye and we have differences. And we are proud as Palestinians that we are an oasis of democracy. We tolerate differences and we are not afraid of differences. And even, we tolerate differences among us. There is nothing to hide. And many of my brothers and sisters who came from many places expressed opinions not necessarily reflect the official position of the State of Palestine. This is a sign of our strength. It is not a sign of our weakness. We are grateful to them for coming here and sharing their thoughts with us. We are grateful for the translators, for the journalists, and for everyone who has contributed to the success of this conference. I will not dwell on the content of the political discussion because this conference started correctly on a very powerful note by the very clear, strong statement by His Majesty the King from day one. He set the right course for this conference, summarizing the global consensus of what needs to be done with regard to the two-state solution and with regard to the importance of the question of Jerusalem. We are very grateful for his very clear and strong statement, and we are very grateful for all those who dwelled in details about the political discussion that have taken place. I will not repeat it. But what I want to share with you before you leave, because we come to these conferences not only to give speeches, but we come to these conferences, in one hand we learn from each other, but what is more important, we need to recharge our batteries in order to double our efforts for the quest of peace and putting an end to this tragedy and for defending the two-state solution and getting us one step closer to that objective. Those of you who were with us last year in Baku, events started to unfold while we were meeting. For those of you who do not remember, it was the attempts by the extremist rightist government of Prime Minister Netanyahu in trying to make significant changes to the status quo, the historical status quo in Jerusalem. We witnessed at the beginning of the conference in Baku and after we left, a remarkable behavior by the Palestinian people from all spectrum of life. Those who worship, those who do not, those who are Muslim, those who are Christians, and even some pacifist Jews, young men and women, in a remarkable form of unity, over 12 days, praying at the gates of Al-Aqsa Mosque, and they brought the government of Prime Minister Netanyahu to its knees. I often say, one of the books that some of us read, 10 Days That Shook the World, when the Bolshevik Revolution took place in St. Petersburg and Moscow. I do say 12 days that shook the foundations of the occupation. Of course, that was followed by another remarkable few days in which Palestinian Christians and their hierarchy decided to shut down the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is another peaceful, civilized form of defiance of refusing the manipulation and trying to change fundamentally the situation in Jerusalem. And again, the same government capitulated and retreated. Of course, for those of us who were following what was happening in Jerusalem, a year before that, there was a revolt by the youth. Some of it was personal. Some of it was out of frustration. We need to analyze of what really happened. And of course, I want to tie it to what is happening in Gaza since the 30th of March until now. And of course, to add to it, what President Trump did with regard to Jerusalem, illegally, in a provocative way, and in moving the embassy on the 14th of May. Many of us used to say, us Palestinians, that those who live in Jerusalem among the Palestinians are the privileged ones. They have the health insurance, they have the social security, they have so many of these privileges, therefore they are in a better situation than the rest of us who live in the other part of the occupied territory. Perhaps maybe that was partially true before the Oslo agreements, before erecting the wall, before the intensification of the settlement activities in and around East Jerusalem, which means that East Jerusalem was still the economic engine of the Palestinian economy. And unemployment is not reaching the unprecedented level that we see for the last few years. and also the evolution of all the problems that the Palestinians live in East Jerusalem in terms of the lack of housing, the lack of schools, the discrimination. So what unfolded during the last few years with intensification is that the Palestinian people, especially the youth, were living with vivid colors, discrimination and economic marginalization by the Israeli occupation in East Jerusalem. And I think according to UN statistics, today unemployment among the youth in East Jerusalem is higher than the unemployment in the Gaza Strip. When you have a situation like this, and the Israeli occupying authority, they keep pushing the envelope, what do you expect from the Palestinians to do? They gave you a signal of what happened 12 days at the gates of Al-Aqsa Mosque. They gave you a signal on the gates of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. They gave you a signal before that, the youth, in which many of them, even they would barge with a knife, with a car, with what have you, to try, to resist and to make a statement that they cannot tolerate this life that is being, imposed on them. From the Israeli side, they thought that they can finish the story of the Palestinians in Jerusalem. Build walls, build settlements, disconnect them from the rest of Palestine. Economically, they cannot survive. Then that would be the new sophisticated form of ethnic cleansing. They would leave the city. And then the narrative of the Israeli government would come to the conclusion that this is a Jewish city, there are no Palestinians in it. But that is not happening. That is not the option that the Palestinians selected. And to add insult to injury, instead of seeing the writing on the wall, instead of listening to the correct message from the entire international community in the occupation, give the Palestinian people their independence in their state, and begin serious negotiation in all final status issues, including Jerusalem. While we are saying, let us agree on the withdrawal to the 67 borders, but we are saying also, let us negotiate the final status of Jerusalem, because we know the complexity of that issue. They kept ignoring us. They kept ignoring the entire international community. And they thought that they will be able to finish the story of the Palestinian people. They added for 10 years a blockade, immoral, illegal, disrespectful, disgraceful to humanity on the Gaza Strip, thinking that the Palestinian people would nail to their knees, and they will do the fight for them to go and fight against groups inside Gaza, including Hamas. And that was not happening. And they did not conclude the correct things that they should conclude. They kept pushing the envelope. And a reckless administration in Washington, D.C., instead of listening very carefully to the 67-minute speech of John Kerry, when he justified the voting on Resolution 2334, he was not defending the Palestinians. He was defending Israel from itself, was telling the Israeli government, wake up, move in the direction of peace, put an end to these things that you are doing, because an earthquake is looming that could be of a magnitude of 10 on the Richter scale. They were not listening. And they added to this very complicated and explosive situation the recognition by the United States of America of Jerusalem as the capital of the State of Israel, and moved the embassy. That exploded the peaceful demonstrations in Gaza into the level that we saw when it reached the peak on the 14th of May of this year. that outraged the entire international community and led, among other things, to an adoption of a resolution under the banner of Uniting for Peace to try to deal with the issue of providing protection for the civilian population. If the Israeli side, with them the American side, if they do not wake up and soon to being reasonable, to address the grievances of the Palestinian people, and to come to conclusions that they will negotiate in good faith the end of occupation within a reasonable time, and to negotiate in good faith complicated issues such as Jerusalem, refugees, settlements, and other issues, the Palestinian people are not going to run away. What we've seen in Gaza during the period, especially when it reached the peak on the 14th of May, beware if the explosions to erupt in Jerusalem, which will be on the basis of religious ground, what you've seen in Gaza and in other places would be only a small rehearsal of what the catastrophe that will take place in Jerusalem. My brothers and sisters who spoke from Jerusalem maybe dealt with certain components of the story that I'm telling you. But I can see the forest from outside. I see it from far away from the United Nations. I see it crystal clear as I'm describing it to you. Maybe even many of the Palestinian leaders who are submerged in the daily details of what is happening might not see it in the same way I'm describing. But I can see it as I see all of you. And for those who are interested in peace, number one, the Israelis, the Americans, all of our friends, the Palestinians, if we do not rise up to the occasion to create different conditions to begin the process of serious process of ending the occupation, God help us as to what we will see, and possibly very soon, and very possibly when we meet next year somewhere, preferably in Rome, close to the Vatican, because Jerusalem is not only for the Jews and the Muslims. Jerusalem is for the Christians. Jerusalem, above all, it is for humanity. And those who care about humanity, they cannot continue to observe, and here I'm talking to our good friends from Europe who are engaging, but the situation requires more engagement, deeper engagement. It is our collective responsibility to save the region from such a massive explosion, a region that is fighting on many grounds, including religious grounds, in Syria, in Iraq, in Yemen, in Libya, and God knows where else in that region. What we need is peace and diffusion to diffuse the situation. We do not need a massive rupture on religious ground in Jerusalem, because that will be very catastrophic for all of us. If you see it as I'm describing it, it is your responsibility, each and every one of you, and maybe those who are watching us through, television, and those who are not here that you can reach. This coming year is the year that we have to double our efforts, because the Palestinians, we don't need more cycles of fighting and killing and viciousness. I'm sure that the Israeli side, number of them, they are living in fear. So an eruption like that will not be, something that they desire. So it is not enough to describe, it is more important to work and to try to create the conditions in which all of us can put an end to this tragedy. You cannot continue to dehumanize, to disrespect, to humiliate, to oppress the Palestinian people, including in Jerusalem, and yet expect peace at the same time. It doesn't work that way. That is not recipe for peace. So I give you this massive message at the end of this very important conference, the 5th International Conference in Jerusalem, because as many of you who saw the movie Kingdom of Heaven, or in Heaven, yes, when Orlando Bloom asked Salah ad-Din, what does Jerusalem mean to you at the end? He said nothing and everything. And for all of us, Jerusalem is everything. Jerusalem is the heart of humanity. Act on that basis for all of us. And I thank you very much, and we will continue our work as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Mansour, for your always insightful remarks. We are with your people. We have a commitment with the Palestinian people, and we will not give up until we achieve our collective final objective, which is a Palestinian independent state with its capital in East Jerusalem and the pre-1967 borders. With our batteries recharged, we have now come to the end of the conference on the questions of Jerusalem. We look forward to your participation in upcoming events of the Committee on the Inalienable Rights of the Palestinian People. I now declare the conference closed. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
You deserve 2 kisses.